I'm going to show you just a quick intro on how you might go about doing this letter number combination. I'm just going to pretend that you can't find a font that you like on the computer, although there's plenty of good ones. So let's just say that you went to dafont.com, D-A-F-O-N-T.com, and just look for something, and let's just say you found one here, like this one's called Made by Bears, and you can click download. By the way, about dafont.com, these are free to use for personal use, usually. Sometimes they'll give you a demo, which is not all the letters. So I may need to, let me just choose a different one. I'll choose this one. Well, hopefully this will be, all right. So I'll do download. Now, if you use it for business purposes, you're actually going to do a logo for someone and make money on it, you should donate to the author. But anyway, I'm going to hit download for this Made by Bears, and it just shows up, and it goes into my downloads folder. So then I need to, let's see, I'll get my little happy face finder, and I'll go into downloads, and I'll look for the name. It's in alphabetical order. I'll look for Made by Bears. There it is. And there are these PNG files that just show how it could be used. But the actual file itself, the actual font will be a .ttf very often. So then you double click on it and you do install font, and that will put it on your computer. Wait for this little window to pop up, and once it stops moving around, you get to, and you see it in this window. That means it's there. It's available now for you to use. So I'm going to close this and get back to Illustrator. I'll get my type tool and click, and I'll do the letter E, and I want to make it very large, so I go to properties. I might do 310, and there it is, and that's not big enough. But anyway, let me change the font first. I'm going to do, I think it's called Made by Bears. So I go scroll down to M, and there it is, Made by Bears. Okay, so I click on that, and there it is. There's my new font. Okay. Now I want to combine it. Let's just say I'm going to do an E7 or an E1 or something, and I'll just get the type tool again. I'll click, and it's going to by default do everything the same size, same font. I'll type in the number 7 and get this over here. Okay, let me change the size on that to something smaller, 48. Let me double click and highlight and do, oh, I know, it's a limited demo font, so it's not showing me the 7. So I'll just get a letter I and pretend that it's a 1 or something. Yeah, that's why it didn't show up, because I have a limited demo and there were no numbers included. So I'm going to change this font to let's see, something work. Okay, I'm not going to agonize over this. I'll just do this, Action Force Normal. Okay, and in this case I'm going to want the font to have a stroke and a fill of white. So I'm going to swap the fill and stroke, and then I'm going to double click on the fill and give it a fill of white, and I think I'll change this number. It's currently 1, so I'll change it to 7. Alright, and then it's not big enough, so I want it bigger. And since this is a font, if I just press on the corner and hold down Shift, well, actually it will. It does get bigger. Okay, that's nice. So I can do this. I can then rotate. Alright, this is not a particularly good design, but I'm just showing you how you might go about this. Okay, so arrange it here. I might shrink it until it kind of lines up a little better. Okay. Alright, so I got these two combined, and then I'll say, you know what, I think this would be stronger if that part of the E wasn't showing. Well, if I want to play with that kind of thing, I got to select the E and do create outlines, turn into a graphic. Then I got to get the white arrow, remember, because the white arrow will allow me then to click, oops, make sure I'm clicking that, and I can, like, oops, I want to make sure I get the individual anchor points, not the whole thing. I could delete a few if I wanted to. I'm going to hit delete, delete, delete. Yeah, that kind of works nicely. Or I could press and, oops, I have to make sure I get an anchor point. Deselect, there we go. Press on a point, and then I can move it if I need to. And there would be my E7. So I could, if I wanted to, okay, that's basically the idea. There's things I could do. I could select this 7 and do object arrange, send to back, and see how that looks. Don't particularly like it. I could just say, well, I'm going to play with the 7. Oh yeah, I need to turn the 7 into outlines, create outlines. Then I can play with the points. Oops. Got to deselect, click on the line, then I can get an individual point and move it and see if I like that better. That's a little better. So anyway, this is how you can go about doing your letter number combinations. If you want, you could punch things with Pathfinder if you wanted to. Like here's this shape. Let's see. If I select both shapes and get the Pathfinder window, I could do things, these kind of Pathfinder operations, which do letters intersect. I guess I need to undo that. Command Z. There we go. I could try, minus front. I could do join. I mean, that doesn't make sense in this case, but you might have a case where you can do reversed out. You might have a case where this would be, the Pathfinder would be the tool to use to help you get the effect you want. Okay, so that's how you can go about this. And one other thing I did neglect to mention about the type tool, there is this thing called the touch type tool, which you have to make some type first. Like there's Lorem Ipsum, okay. And then if I use, after I've created type, I can get the touch type tool and click and get an individual letter. And then I can play with that individual letter a little bit. I can scale it. I can move it to some degree, but it's still related to that. You'll find that it does relate to it. Then I can, if I move to this rotation axis, I can rotate it, but you can see it still interacts with what there is before. So if I want to, I could get the touch type tool, select it, and then cut, and then paste, and now I've got this letter by itself, and I can play with it by itself. So that's one of the advantages of the touch type tool.